Well, they were saying that it might go until Monday. I was actually kind of surprised that it didn't, considering the show that they put on for the public. They put on such a lovely show.
That was a show.
Wouldn't you say?
That was a show.
There was a video montage.
Oh my God.
Picture this, a gilded empire built over 3 decades. Private jets, billion-dollar deals, A-list parties where the music industry's most powerful players bowed at his feet. Sean Diddy Combs wasn't just a mogul, he was an institution, a symbol of untouchable success. But behind the platinum records and the celebrity veneer, a different story was brewing. A story of coercion, of shadowy networks, of witnesses living in fear. For years, the whispers circulated in the industry's darkest corners. But the machine was too powerful, the walls too high. No one could get in, and no one could get out until now. The gavel falls.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not going to sit up there and judge anybody and what they want to do for their parent or their financial provider. Because I'm sorry, do any of those children have a means for earning a living outside of the Combs enterprise? I don't think so.
4 years and 2 months, a $500,000 fine, 5 years of supervised release. On the surface, it sounds like justice, a kingpin brought low. But lean in closer, because this isn't an ending. This is a detonation. The federal guidelines recommended 9 years. He got 4. The prosecution presented a mountain of evidence. The most serious charges thrown out.
Even I think one of the sons did a rap, and he's like,
what choice do they have? When you're dealing with the kind of narcissistic control freak that Diddy is, and you raise children under that.
This is the same judge who, smelling flight risk and danger, denied Diddy bail not once, not twice, but 6 separate times. Now that same judge is offering a reduced sentence and a plea for redemption. Something doesn't add up. Welcome to The Breakdown. Today, we're pulling back the velvet rope on Diddy's conviction to expose the shocking reality. This isn't a story about one man going to prison. This is a story about a system within a system, about the limits of power, and about the few brave souls who are risking everything to make sure this isn't just another chapter where Diddy wins. The sentence: a slap on the wrist or a strategic play? Let's break down the numbers because the math is the first clue. 4 years versus a recommended 9. For a man facing the rest of his life in a cage, that's a lottery win. But for Diddy, a billionaire accustomed to ultimate control, any prison time is an eternity. His lawyers are already appealing. He expected probation. He expected to walk. So why the leniency? The judge spoke of a changed man.
See, this is the thing. That'll just make more trouble. Why would he make more trouble now? He done already bought off and paid off everybody he possibly could. Have you looked at the indictment? Like, he called some witnesses up to 54 times.
Yeah, 200 and how many Angel? 200 something people.
Yeah.
And in a carefully orchestrated performance, Diddy played the part. He cried. He submitted a heartfelt letter, oozing with remorse. The old me died in jail, he wrote, painting a picture of a sober, reborn philanthropist now teaching business classes to fellow inmates. He begged for mercy, not for himself, but for his children. It was a masterclass in perception management. But there are 2 people who weren't buying it. 2 key witnesses who have seen the real Diddy up close and personal. Jaguar Wright and Gene Deal. Their testimony isn't just evidence, it's a warning. Jaguar Wright, with fire in her voice, states she has no sympathy for a monster and doesn't care if he gets attacked in prison. Gene Deal, a former close associate, echoes the sentiment. Their message is unified and chilling. Diddy has no remorse. He can never change. This is all an act. But why would they be so certain? Because they've seen the machinery at work even from behind bars. The prison payphones, a conduit for coercion. While awaiting trial, Diddy wasn't just planning his defense. He was actively working to undermine the case against him. The feds revealed a stunning scheme to the judge. Diddy was making over 200 calls a week, but he was smart. He knew the feds were listening, so he used his family as a human switchboard. He would call a family member who would then patch a witness into the call. A three-way circuit that obscured the final destination. The feds could see Diddy was on the phone with his son, for example. They couldn't see that a key witness was silently listening in on the other line. This was a deliberate, calculated attempt to manipulate witnesses and control the narrative outside the watchful eye of the law. The only reason the feds discovered the plot? One of those witnesses had the courage to report the coercion. This raises a terrifying question. If this is what he's willing to do from a monitored jail cell, what is he capable of on the outside? The children as pawns, a dynasty of dependence. And what about the family he so tearfully pleaded for? The children who wrote glowing letters to the judge on his behalf? According to insiders, this wasn't an act of love, it was an act of survival. Diddy's kids are completely under his control. Their careers, their lifestyles, their very legal defenses are tethered to his wealth and influence. If Diddy falls, the money spigot turns off. Who hires the son of a convicted felon? Who pays for the lawyers when his sons face their own mounting legal battles? They are, for all intents and purposes, financial hostages. Speaking out in his favor isn't a choice. It's a necessity. It's about preserving the only source of income they've ever known. This isn't a family defending their patriarch. This is a corporation protecting its CEO. The web of complicity. Why is Diddy the only one in handcuffs? But here's the million-dollar question, the one that keeps Jaguar Wright up at night. She hasn't just named Diddy, she's named names. She's pulled back the curtain on an entire network of enablers, collaborators, and co-conspirators. According to Jag, it's not just Diddy who is working. So why is he the only one going to prison?
It's time for all of the victims to come forward. But for the people that have been denying it, you know what? Let's not be coy. You know, I am Jaguar. So let's just keep it a buck. Let's keep it a bean.
Think about that. What kind of Ryko enterprise involves only one person? Who were the people he was sourcing and trafficking girls for? Is it really just a coincidence that dozens of people who used to work closely with Diddy are now behind bars on their own charges? This goes all the way to the highest levels. This was a sophisticated operation, not a one-man show. Diddy didn't just commit crimes, he created monsters. And the fear is that he's become the fall guy, the single scalp taken to satisfy the public while the rest of the machine remains intact, waiting for his return. Gene Deal's life has been in danger for years, simply for talking.
Like Diddy going to jail and spending all that time, you know, I'm not saying it's going to be rough or nothing like that because his former president of Bad Boy, Kirk Burrows, with the federal jail.
He alleges that Diddy's friends went on record saying Diddy asked them to come after him. Why would Gene have an ounce of sympathy for a man who allegedly tried to have him killed? His testimony isn't about vengeance. It's about preventing a predator from returning to his hunting ground. The escape hatch, pardons, programs, and prison preferences. So Diddy is in prison. But for how long? The sentence is already being chipped away. He gets credit for time served. He's angling for the crown jewel of early release, the RDAP program. The residential drug abuse program at Fort Dix is a 500-hour, 9-month intensive treatment course. Completing it can shove a full year off a sentence. And wouldn't you know it, Diddy has specifically requested to serve his time at Fort Dix. This isn't a coincidence. It's a business plan for freedom. The same man who claims to be sober for the first time in 25 years is now strategically using a substance abuse program as a legal loophole. But there's a problem. A case he couldn't bury. A $100 million lawsuit he lost to a man named Derek Lee Cardell Smith. Diddy's team is desperately trying to keep this victory quiet. Why? Because a massive, successful civil judgment for serious allegations could disqualify him from the very RDAP program he's counting on. It paints a picture of a man far beyond rehabilitation. The lengths to silence this story were extreme.
Diddy spoke to the judge before sentencing, and it sounded like he was taking accountability.
Accountability for what? Same kind of accountability he took after he told everybody Cassie was lying on him, and then he got popped on my birthday when the video came out on CNN.
Diddy allegedly visited the jail where Smith was being held, a conversation that likely carried the weight of intimidation. But Smith didn't back down. He won, and that victory is a landmine on Diddy's path to early release. And if all else fails, there's the nuclear option, a pardon. Just 3 days after sentencing, sources confirmed that Diddy's team had reached out to none other than former President Donald Trump, a get-out-of-jail-free card from the highest office in the land. In this unprecedented political climate, even that, once unthinkable, is now a tangible possibility. So where does this leave us? Diddy, the billionaire, sits in a cell, but his empire, his influence, and his network remain. He was let off the hook for decades of alleged crimes, and even now, the system seems to be bending to his will. He'll likely be out in a year or two, his wealth intact, his power structure waiting. As one person on X perfectly put it, him asking the judge for mercy is rich considering he never once cared to provide same for his victims. His sentence was light, and knowing the music industry, he'll come out more famous. But this story isn't over, because Jaguar Wright and Gene Deal are refusing to be silent.
You know, I'm not saying it's going to be rough or nothing like that, because his former president of Bad Boy, Kirk Burrows, went to federal jail. You understand? Lil' Kim went to federal jail. So, you know, because the type of dude he is, you know, he'll make it, he'll be all right. And plus they gonna send him to a camp, bruh. He'll be in somebody camp or somebody dormitory, whereas that it'll be real light for him.
They are the unscripted variables in Diddy's calculated equation. They are the ones pulling back the curtain, naming names, and ensuring the world doesn't look away. The real question isn't whether Diddy will serve his full sentence. The real question is what happens when he gets out. Will the public forget? Will the industry welcome him back with open arms? Or have these witnesses, these truth tellers, planted seeds that will finally cause the entire empire to crumble? This isn't justice. This is a ceasefire. And the war for accountability is just beginning. This has been the breakdown. The gavel has fallen, but the real trial is just getting started. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think Diddy will actually serve his time, or is this just the beginning of his next great escape?